Welcome, dear viewer. Tonight, we embark on a journey into one of history's most enduring mysteries, the legend of Atlantis. For over 2 millennia, this story has fascinated philosophers, explorers, scientists, and dreamers alike. Was it a real place, a civilization lost beneath the waves of time, or merely a parable crafted by a philosopher to warn humanity about the dangers of pride, hubris, and moral corruption? We will explore the original accounts, trace how these stories evolved over centuries, and analyze the numerous theories proposed by scholars, archaeologists, and adventurers. From Plato's dialogues to modern interpretations, Atlantis has remained a symbol of human curiosity, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of understanding our past, our myths, and the possible truths hidden beneath the oceans of our planet. In this documentary, we aim not only to examine the historical records but also to delve into the imagination, speculation, and evidence that continue to fuel one of the most captivating mysteries of all time. Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, present the earliest known account of Atlantis. According to him, the story was passed down from Egyptian priests who recounted a mighty island empire that existed 9,000 years before his own time. This empire, rich in resources, technology, and culture, was said to have been powerful beyond imagination, boasting grand cities, fortified harbors, and magnificent temples dedicated to gods. Plato emphasizes that Atlantis' downfall came not from external conquest, but from internal corruption, greed, and the abandonment of moral principles. By framing Atlantis as both real and allegorical, Plato invited his audience to reflect on the fragility of civilizations and the consequences of hubris, turning a tale of a lost island into a profound lesson on ethics, governance, and human nature. From the very beginning, Atlantis occupied a space between myth and reality. Scholars have long debated whether Plato described a historical civilization or crafted a philosophical allegory. The detailed descriptions of the city's layout, architecture, and natural resources suggest a civilization that could have existed, yet no concrete archaeological evidence has been found to confirm its existence. This ambiguity allowed Atlantis to transcend time, becoming not only a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and hubris but also a symbol of humanity's eternal fascination with lost worlds, undiscovered lands, and the mysteries that lie beneath the oceans, inspiring countless generations of thinkers, storytellers, and explorers to ponder what lies beyond the horizon of known history. The story of Atlantis has captivated cultures far beyond ancient Greece. For millennia, philosophers, historians, and storytellers have used the legend as a canvas upon which to project ideals, fears, and aspirations. Some saw it as a warning against moral decay, others as proof of forgotten histories. Its universality lies in its adaptability. The story can be interpreted as a historical account, a philosophical lesson, a myth, or even a premonition of lost civilizations. This enduring appeal ensures that Atlantis remains a powerful symbol in literature, art, and popular imagination, transcending temporal and geographical boundaries while continuing to provoke curiosity and debate about the mysteries of human civilization and the hidden corners of our planet. Plato's account of Atlantis is not merely a story of geographical or historical significance, it carries profound philosophical and moral lessons. The island's sudden disappearance beneath the waves serves as a warning about the fragility of civilizations when hubris, greed, and moral decay take hold. Citizens who once flourished under just governance allowed ambition and corruption to override reason and virtue. Through this narrative, Plato illustrates the consequences of losing ethical balance, demonstrating that technological advancements, wealth, and architectural grandeur cannot protect a society from internal collapse. In essence, Atlantis becomes a mirror reflecting humanity's perpetual struggle between wisdom and folly, moderation and excess, order and chaos, providing timeless lessons for both ancient and modern audiences. Even in antiquity, travelers, sailors, and historians recounted tales of distant lands that matched Plato's descriptions. Ships returning from long voyages would speak of strange islands, unknown civilizations, and treasures lost beneath the sea. These anecdotal accounts, whether true or exaggerated, helped cement Atlantis' place in human imagination. As stories spread across the Mediterranean, the myth of Atlantis became intertwined with regional legends, blending fact, speculation, and allegory. The island evolved from a philosopher's cautionary tale to a compelling narrative that challenged explorers to question what lay beyond the known world, inspiring curiosity, fear, and a yearning for discovery that continues to this day. Atlantis sparked intense philosophical discussions among thinkers of antiquity. Was the tale meant to be literal, or a sophisticated allegory illustrating the dangers of pride and moral negligence? Plato's contemporaries debated the implications of such a civilization, its power, wealth, and advanced technology, and how these elements could be undermined by ethical failures. The narrative encouraged reflection on governance, societal values, and human behavior, making Atlantis a platform for intellectual discourse. By studying the rise and fall of a seemingly perfect society, philosophers could explore universal truths about the consequences of ambition without wisdom, and the delicate balance required to sustain harmony within any community. Plato describes Atlantis as a land abundant with natural resources, fertile plains, rivers, and precious metals. Gold, silver, and the mysterious orichalcum were said to cover the city, reflecting sunlight in dazzling displays. Agriculture thrived on rich soil, supporting a population that could pursue both craftsmanship and intellectual endeavors. The abundance of natural wealth allowed Atlantis to build monumental architecture, sustain trade networks, and maintain a society that combined leisure with productivity. These resources, however, also became a test of moral character, as greed and excessive ambition eventually contributed to the civilization's downfall, reminding audiences that material riches alone cannot safeguard a society from ethical decay. Atlantis society was renowned not only for wealth but also for technological ingenuity. The city featured concentric rings of land and water, connected by canals and bridges that displayed advanced engineering skills. Temples, palaces, and public buildings reflected both grandeur and practicality, demonstrating architectural mastery. Aqueducts carried water efficiently, roads facilitated trade, and urban planning ensured both beauty and functionality. Plato's account suggests that the combination of technology, resource management, and social organization made Atlantis a civilization unmatched in its time, highlighting human potential when intellect, labor, and creativity converge in pursuit of societal excellence. From Plato's writings, Atlantis transcended time, inspiring wonder, curiosity, and speculation for thousands of years. Scholars, sailors, and adventurers alike pondered its possible existence, debating whether it lay in the Atlantic, Mediterranean, or even beyond. Atlantis became a symbol of human ambition, imagination, and the desire to explore the unknown. Its story encouraged exploration, scientific inquiry, and philosophical reflection, weaving together history, myth, and moral lessons. Even today, the legend continues to captivate the imagination, reminding us of humanity's eternal fascination with lost civilizations, hidden knowledge, and the mysteries that lie just beyond the horizon of the known world. After Plato's initial accounts, the story of Atlantis quickly spread throughout the Greek world. Philosophers, historians, and storytellers debated its meaning and implications. Some considered it a literal place, while others saw it as an allegory for moral lessons. Tales of advanced cities, immense wealth, and tragic downfall captivated audiences, influencing literature, drama, and philosophy. Greek thinkers began integrating Atlantis into broader narratives of human behavior, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the balance between power and virtue. Its story became a tool for education, a way to illustrate the consequences of hubris, and a topic that transcended simple storytelling, turning Atlantis into an enduring symbol of both wonder and warning for generations of thinkers across the Mediterranean. As the Roman Empire expanded, Atlantis legend reached new audiences. Roman writers and historians referenced the island in philosophical works, political essays, and speculative accounts of distant lands. They admired its advanced architecture, technological ingenuity, and wealth while contemplating the ethical failures that led to its downfall. The story served as both entertainment and a cautionary tale, emphasizing the importance of governance, civic responsibility, and moral integrity. Roman adaptations often added details, blending Plato's original narrative with local myths, creating a richer, more dramatic vision of a lost civilization. Through these accounts, Atlantis became a cross-cultural phenomenon, bridging Greek and Roman thought and inspiring further exploration of morality, history, and human ambition. Over time, Atlantis became intertwined with numerous regional myths and legends. As tales passed orally across generations, details evolved, exaggerated, or merged with local folklore. Some stories associated Atlantis with distant islands, mysterious floods, or divine punishment. The blend of history, allegory, and imagination ensured that the legend remained adaptable, allowing each culture to interpret the story through its own moral, spiritual, or political lens. This process created a tapestry of narratives where fact, fiction, and philosophy coexisted, amplifying the island's mystery and embedding it deeply in the collective consciousness of the Mediterranean world. Ancient historians such as Diodorus Siculus and later writers examined Atlantis' narrative with curiosity and skepticism. They referenced Plato's accounts while trying to reconcile myth with historical fact. Debates arose about the plausibility of an advanced civilization existing thousands of years ago, its geographical location, and the accuracy of Plato's details. These discussions fueled a tradition of critical inquiry and intellectual curiosity, blending mythological fascination with the beginnings of historical analysis. Atlantis thus became more than a story, it was a case study in interpreting sources, analyzing human behavior, and understanding the interplay between imagination, moral instruction, and empirical observation. Plato's description of Atlantis included extensive trade networks connecting the island to surrounding regions. Merchants, sailors, and diplomats were said to traverse the seas, exchanging goods, knowledge, and culture. Ancient audiences were captivated by the idea of a civilization not only rich in natural resources but also highly organized and connected. This emphasis on commerce highlighted the advanced social, technological, and economic structures of Atlantis. Moreover, it underscored the interconnectedness of civilizations, the importance of strategic geography, and the ways in which trade can facilitate both prosperity and cultural exchange, themes that remain relevant in historical studies today. Beyond commerce and historical speculation, Atlantis came to symbolize ideals and warnings for ancient societies. Philosophers used its narrative to discuss the perils of hubris, the importance of ethical governance, and the consequences of societal corruption. Poets and dramatists drew inspiration from the story, incorporating themes of loss, ambition, and moral decay into their works. Atlantis became a mirror for humanity, reflecting the potential greatness of civilizations alongside their vulnerability to internal failings. Its symbolic significance reinforced the idea that knowledge, virtue, and ethical behavior are essential components for sustaining a society, making Atlantis a powerful tool for education, reflection, and moral contemplation throughout the ancient world. Sailors and navigators across the Mediterranean and Atlantic recounted encountering strange islands, unusual currents, and mysterious phenomena, often linking these accounts to the legend of Atlantis. Tales of vanished islands and sunken cities blurred the line between reality and imagination, sparking curiosity and fear among seafarers. Plato's descriptions gave authority to these oral stories, encouraging explorers to seek evidence of the lost civilization. Such narratives fostered a culture of inquiry, adventure, and speculation, motivating navigators to chart unknown waters, document discoveries, and interpret natural phenomena through the lens of myth and legend, weaving Atlantis into the collective maritime consciousness of the ancient world. The legend of Atlantis influenced cultural exchanges across the ancient world. As stories spread, they intersected with myths of Egypt, Phoenicia, and other civilizations. The narrative was adapted to explain natural disasters, political changes, and the rise and fall of powerful societies. Through art, literature, and oral tradition, Atlantis became a lens through which ancient cultures explored human morality, divine intervention, and societal ideals. Its flexible narrative allowed for reinterpretation while maintaining core lessons, enabling each culture to internalize the story in a way that reflected its own values, experiences, and understanding of history. Natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions were often linked to Atlantis in the ancient imagination. Stories of the island being submerged beneath the sea after divine wrath or natural catastrophe resonated deeply with audiences. Plato's narrative reinforced this idea, presenting Atlantis' destruction as both inevitable and instructive. These associations contributed to the legend's enduring appeal, combining wonder, fear, and philosophical reflection. By integrating natural events into the story, ancient storytellers emphasized the vulnerability of even the greatest civilizations to forces beyond human control, a theme that echoes through literature, art, and cultural consciousness across centuries. Philosophers throughout antiquity used Atlantis as a platform to discuss ethics, governance, and the human condition. The story prompted debates on the responsibilities of rulers, the dangers of excessive ambition, and the moral foundations required for a sustainable society. By examining the rise and fall of Atlantis, thinkers could illustrate timeless lessons about power, virtue, and human behavior. The narrative encouraged reflection on how wealth, technology, and organizational skill must be balanced with morality and civic responsibility, emphasizing that neglecting these principles inevitably leads to downfall. In this way, Atlantis became not just a tale of a lost island, but a timeless ethical allegory. The stories of Atlantis traveled across lands and generations, inspiring explorers, poets, and thinkers alike. From Greece to Rome, and later to other parts of the Mediterranean, the legend evolved, blending philosophical, historical, and imaginative elements. The tale became a narrative bridge connecting human curiosity with moral reflection, exploration, and creative expression. Each retelling added new layers, interpretations, and lessons, ensuring that Atlantis was never a static story but a dynamic phenomenon that mirrored human aspirations, fears, and creativity, keeping the mystery alive and compelling throughout centuries. By the end of the ancient period, Atlantis had firmly established itself as a central figure in the collective imagination of the Mediterranean world. Its legend encompassed philosophical discourse, historical speculation, moral allegory, and adventurous storytelling. Ancient audiences were captivated not only by the island's wealth and technological sophistication but also by the profound lessons embedded within its rise and fall. The enduring nature of Atlantis illustrates the human fascination with lost civilizations, the interplay of myth and reality, and the quest to understand the limits of power, ethics, and knowledge. As we transition to the next chapter, we will explore how Atlantis continued to inspire wonder and debate during the Middle Ages and Renaissance, evolving into an even more complex symbol of human imagination and aspiration. Plato describes Atlantis as a massive island situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a term often associated with the Strait of Gibraltar. Its location, far from the known Mediterranean world, lent the story an aura of mystery and inaccessibility. Ancient texts depict a land of concentric rings of water and land, with a central acropolis rising majestically above the surrounding plains. Mountains, rivers, and fertile valleys provided both natural defense and abundant resources, creating an environment ideally suited for a thriving civilization. While modern scholars debate the exact location, the vivid descriptions offer a tantalizing glimpse into a land that, whether real or imagined, captured the imagination of generations and became a symbol of exploration and the allure of the unknown. Beyond its structural design, Atlantis is portrayed as a land of breathtaking natural beauty. Verdant forests, sparkling rivers, and majestic mountains surrounded the city, creating an environment of harmony and abundance. Coastal beaches opened to the sea, allowing trade and exploration, while fertile plains ensured food security for its citizens. The abundance of natural resources, combined with scenic vistas, would have provided not only practical benefits but also aesthetic inspiration. Plato's descriptions highlight the connection between nature and civilization, suggesting that the environment of Atlantis contributed to both its prosperity and its symbolic allure, offering a paradise-like vision that captured the hearts and minds of those who heard its tale. Plato provides intricate details of Atlantis' city planning. The city was built with concentric rings of water and land, connected by bridges and canals. The central acropolis housed the main temples and palaces, while outer rings contained residential, commercial, and industrial zones. Canals provided transportation and water management, while roads facilitated trade and communication. The architectural style combined grandeur with functionality, demonstrating advanced urban planning and engineering. This meticulous description suggests that Atlantis, whether real or allegorical, represents an idealized civilization where careful design, resource management, and technological knowledge created a harmonious urban environment that balanced practicality with aesthetics. Atlantis was said to be rich in precious metals, fertile soil, and abundant wildlife. Gold and silver were plentiful, and the legendary orichalcum, a mysterious metal, covered temples and palaces. Fertile plains supported agriculture, while rivers and coastal waters provided fish and trade routes. The abundance of resources enabled technological advancement, monumental architecture, and societal prosperity. Plato emphasizes that this wealth, while remarkable, also became a test of human character. The balance between prosperity and moral responsibility was crucial, as excessive greed and hubris ultimately led to the civilization's demise, reinforcing the timeless lesson that material riches alone cannot safeguard society from ethical collapse. Fertile plains and river valleys allowed Atlantis to achieve remarkable food security. Crops flourished under ideal conditions, supporting a dense population. Agriculture was supplemented by fishing and trade, creating a balanced and sustainable economy. Plato's description indicates that the integration of natural resources with urban planning contributed to the city's efficiency and prosperity. The abundance of food not only supported survival but also allowed citizens to pursue arts, education, and craftsmanship, highlighting the interplay between sustenance, societal development, and cultural achievement in a thriving civilization. Atlantis' location and resources made it a hub of commerce and trade. Ports and canals facilitated exchange of goods, including metals, agricultural products, and artisanal crafts. Trade networks connected Atlantis with neighboring islands and distant lands, fostering cultural and technological exchange. Economic prosperity allowed investment in monumental architecture, education, and social welfare. Plato's account suggests that the combination of geographic advantage, natural wealth, and organized trade contributed to the civilization's strength. This interconnected economy became both a source of pride and a reflection of the citizens' ability to harness resources for societal advancement, while also exposing the potential dangers of excess and moral complacency. Atlantis' wealth is reflected in its architecture. Palaces, temples, and public buildings were constructed with precious metals and fine materials, reflecting both opulence and functionality. Bridges, canals, and roads demonstrated engineering mastery, while decorative elements showcased artistic sophistication. The city's design balanced practicality with aesthetic appeal, creating an environment that was both impressive and livable. Plato emphasizes that wealth and resources enabled the civilization to pursue both technical innovation and cultural refinement, demonstrating how abundance can shape urban aesthetics and societal values, while also serving as a reminder of the responsibilities that accompany prosperity. The abundance of natural resources influenced Atlantis' social structure and lifestyle. Citizens could dedicate time to education, craftsmanship, and cultural activities rather than mere survival. The wealth provided opportunities for leisure, intellectual growth, and artistic expression. Plato implies that the city's prosperity fostered a sense of civic pride and achievement, while simultaneously testing the moral character of its inhabitants. The interplay between nature's gifts and societal development highlights a crucial lesson: material abundance can nurture civilization, but only if accompanied by wisdom, discipline, and ethical governance. Water management was a key feature of Atlantis' infrastructure. Canals, aqueducts, and reservoirs distributed water efficiently, supporting agriculture, trade, and daily life. The concentric rings of water served both aesthetic and practical purposes, creating defensive barriers while enhancing city beauty. Plato's detailed description highlights the civilization's engineering prowess and foresight. Effective water management ensured sustainability, resilience, and quality of life for its citizens, reflecting a deep understanding of environmental stewardship and urban planning. The integration of water systems with city design exemplifies how natural resources were harnessed to promote both prosperity and civilization. Atlantis' strategic location and surrounding waters made maritime activity central to its economy. Harbors were fortified and connected to canals that facilitated efficient trade and transportation. Ships carried goods, ideas, and culture to and from distant lands, reinforcing Atlantis' role as a hub of exchange. Plato emphasizes that maritime mastery, combined with natural harbor protection and infrastructure, contributed to the civilization's strength and influence. The city's relationship with the sea highlights the integration of natural geography and human ingenuity, demonstrating how control over waterways can enhance prosperity, connectivity, and societal advancement. The island's abundant mineral wealth was legendary. Gold, silver, and the mysterious orichalcum adorned temples, palaces, and public buildings. Mines provided raw materials for artisans and trade, fueling economic prosperity. Plato's account suggests that this wealth allowed Atlantis to achieve technological advancements and architectural grandeur unmatched in the ancient world. However, the very abundance that enabled prosperity also posed ethical challenges, as greed and misuse of resources contributed to societal decay. Atlantis serves as a reminder that wealth can empower civilization but also tests human character and responsibility. The combination of fertile land, abundant resources, strategic location, and advanced infrastructure made Atlantis a formidable civilization. Its geographic advantages allowed control over trade routes, access to diverse resources, and efficient urban planning. Plato's descriptions illustrate how the natural environment and human ingenuity combined to create a society of exceptional prosperity and influence. While the city's ultimate fate serves as a cautionary tale, its geographical and economic strengths exemplify the potential of civilization when resource management, technological skill, and societal organization work in harmony, offering lessons that resonate across time and cultures. Atlantis society, according to Plato, was highly structured and hierarchical, designed to maintain order and ensure prosperity. At the top were kings and priests, entrusted with governance and spiritual guidance, while administrators, engineers, artisans, and farmers filled essential roles across the city. The organization emphasized both responsibility and specialization, creating a civilization where every citizen contributed to the collective well-being. Plato's account reflects the idea that a stable society requires coordination, accountability, and an understanding of the interdependence of social roles. The careful balance between power, duty, and expertise allowed Atlantis to flourish, demonstrating the potential of structured governance combined with social cohesion. The kings of Atlantis held supreme authority, responsible for law, order, and the spiritual welfare of their people. Each ruler oversaw a division of the island, ensuring local governance and resource management. Priests played a complementary role, guiding ethical conduct and maintaining religious rituals. Plato emphasizes that leadership combined wisdom, foresight, and moral integrity, reflecting the belief that a civilization's success depends on the character of its rulers. The hierarchical system ensured efficient decision-making, accountability, and stability, allowing Atlantis to achieve remarkable prosperity while embedding ethical lessons about the responsibilities of power. Atlantis' social system emphasized specialization, where citizens contributed through defined roles. Engineers and architects designed infrastructure, artisans produced goods, farmers maintained food supply, and traders facilitated commerce. This division of labor allowed the city to operate efficiently and innovate technologically. Plato's narrative illustrates how organized societies benefit from expertise and collaboration, with each role reinforcing the others. The synergy between professions not only enhanced productivity but also created a sense of communal purpose, fostering pride, skill development, and societal cohesion, which were essential for sustaining a thriving civilization over generations. Plato hints at technological advancements that made Atlantis remarkable. Bridges and canals facilitated transportation, aqueducts managed water, and engineering marvels supported palaces and temples. Artisans used metals like orichalcum to craft durable, decorative structures. These innovations indicate a society that combines scientific understanding with practical application, emphasizing efficiency, sustainability, and aesthetic elegance. Atlantis' achievements suggest a civilization capable of pushing the boundaries of knowledge, blending innovation with cultural sophistication. The story portrays technology not merely as a tool, but as a reflection of the society's organizational intelligence, foresight, and ability to harmonize human activity with natural resources. Education played a central role in Atlantis, with knowledge passed down through generations. Schools and academies trained engineers, artisans, and administrators. Philosophers and scholars guided citizens in ethics, history, and civic responsibility. Plato's account implies that intellectual development was valued alongside material prosperity, fostering innovation, governance, and cultural refinement. This emphasis on learning created a society where informed citizens could contribute meaningfully to their community, ensuring continuity of knowledge, technological progress, and moral guidance, which were essential for maintaining the city's stability and long-term success. Plato describes Atlantis as possessing a well-organized military system to protect its citizens and trade routes. Fortifications, watchtowers, and disciplined troops maintained security both within the city and along strategic waterways. Naval strength ensured control over surrounding seas, facilitating commerce and defense against potential invaders. This military organization reflects the integration of security with social and economic planning, demonstrating how strategic foresight, discipline, and coordinated infrastructure contribute to a civilization's resilience. The Atlantean example illustrates that advanced societies recognize the importance of protection without compromising cultural and technological development. Atlanteans utilized natural resources innovatively to power their city and industries. Harnessing water flow through canals and reservoirs, they supported irrigation, transportation, and energy needs. metals and other materials were used for durable construction and technological devices. Plato's account hints at a society capable of applying scientific principles to everyday life, integrating sustainability, efficiency, and practicality. The careful management of energy and resources not only enabled technological achievement but also demonstrated foresight in planning for a prosperous, resilient civilization capable of enduring challenges and maximizing human potential. Art, music, and literature flourished in Atlantis, supported by the city's wealth and organized society. Temples, palaces, and public spaces were adorned with sculptures, murals, and decorative works. Citizens engaged in creative pursuits, contributing to cultural sophistication and intellectual richness. Plato implies that material prosperity, when balanced with education and social structure, enables cultural innovation. Art and creativity were intertwined with technology, urban planning, and daily life, reinforcing societal identity and cohesion while offering inspiration and beauty that transcended mere survival, leaving a legacy of intellectual and aesthetic achievement. Plato's narrative hints that Atlanteans pursued scientific exploration and experimentation. Scholars studied astronomy, geometry, engineering, and natural sciences. Observatories and laboratories facilitated research, guiding technological and agricultural innovation. The emphasis on knowledge demonstrates a society where empirical inquiry complemented practical application, with discoveries enhancing quality of life and societal efficiency. Atlantis represents a civilization where curiosity, experimentation, and documentation formed the foundation of progress, illustrating how scientific pursuit, when integrated with culture and governance, can drive advancement and inspire future generations. Transportation within Atlantis combined land and water systems efficiently. Canals, bridges, and roads allowed smooth movement of people, goods, and resources. Chariots, boats, and other vehicles facilitated travel, trade, and communication. Plato's description portrays a city where technological planning enhanced mobility and societal integration. Efficient transportation supported economic activity, military readiness, and cultural exchange, emphasizing how infrastructure underpins civilization. The integration of engineering and design ensured that Atlantis operated as a cohesive, interconnected society, demonstrating foresight, coordination, and the transformative power of technology. Social hierarchy in Atlantis was closely tied to ethical and civic responsibilities. Citizens were expected to fulfill roles with diligence, while rulers and priests provided moral guidance. Plato emphasizes that prosperity alone cannot sustain civilization without ethical governance and communal accountability. This balance of hierarchy and morality ensured social cohesion, promoted justice, and facilitated the collective pursuit of knowledge, art, and technology. The Atlantean model demonstrates how ethical principles can guide the distribution of power and resources, highlighting that societal success is intertwined with virtue, discipline, and the conscientious exercise of authority. By the end of this section, it is clear that Atlantis was not merely a city of wealth and grandeur, but a society that combined organization, specialization, innovation, and ethical guidance. Plato's depiction presents an idealized vision where material prosperity, technological prowess, and cultural sophistication coexist with moral and social responsibility. This synthesis of social structure and technology allowed citizens to thrive, pursue knowledge, and engage in creative expression. Atlantis becomes a model for reflecting on how civilizations balance resources, governance, and human ambition, offering timeless insights into the interplay between societal order, innovation, and ethical stewardship. Plato narrates that over time, Atlantis grew increasingly proud and ambitious, its citizens becoming complacent in the face of immense wealth and technological prowess. What was once a society guided by virtue and ethical responsibility began to succumb to greed, excess, and moral decay. Leaders, intoxicated by power, neglected their civic duties, while ordinary citizens sought personal gain over collective welfare. This erosion of moral integrity set the stage for disaster, illustrating a universal principle: prosperity without humility and ethical grounding is fragile. The tale of Atlantis transforms from a story of achievement into a cautionary narrative about human ambition, hubris, and the consequences of neglecting virtue. According to Plato, the gods watched Atlantis' moral decline with growing displeasure. Signs and omens were said to precede the catastrophe: natural disturbances, unusual weather, and portents that hinted at divine anger. Priests attempted to guide the people back to ethical conduct, but warnings went largely unheeded. This part of the legend emphasizes that imbalance, hubris, and neglect of moral duties invite consequences. The god's wrath symbolizes the inevitability of justice in the natural and social order, reinforcing the allegorical dimension of the myth. Even the most prosperous civilizations are vulnerable when virtue is abandoned. Plato recounts that the day of Atlantis' destruction arrived with catastrophic natural events. Earthquakes shook the foundations of cities, massive floods swept through plains and harbors, and fires raged across certain districts. The combination of geological and environmental upheaval demonstrated the overwhelming force of nature, amplified in legend to convey the severity of divine punishment. The descriptions evoke terror and awe, reinforcing the narrative of inevitability. Human hubris and moral failure provoke irreversible consequences. The vivid imagery highlights both the fragility of human achievement and the dramatic power of nature and myth interwoven in the story of Atlantis. Amidst the destruction, Atlantean citizens struggled to survive. Panic gripped the streets as people sought safety, while chaos reigned in markets, homes, and public spaces. Plato portrays a society unprepared for disaster, highlighting how moral complacency and over-reliance on material prosperity left the population vulnerable. Families fled, leaders attempted to coordinate relief, and artisans abandoned workshops, but the overwhelming force of events rendered human efforts insufficient. This depiction emphasizes the fragility of civilization when virtue and foresight are neglected, transforming Atlantis into a universal cautionary tale about the consequences of arrogance, hubris, and ethical failure. The monumental architecture and urban splendor of Atlantis could not withstand nature's fury. Temples toppled, palaces crumbled, and bridges were swept away. Canals overflowed, roads split, and farmland was rendered useless. Plato's narrative captures both the scale of destruction and the suddenness of collapse, emphasizing the impermanence of material achievement. The legend reinforces that even the most advanced and prosperous civilizations are ultimately vulnerable to forces beyond their control, serving as a reminder of humility, the limits of human mastery, and the moral dimensions embedded in historical storytelling. Floodwaters rose rapidly, submerging the concentric rings and residential zones of Atlantis. Rivers overflowed, seas encroached upon the land, and harbors vanished beneath waves. Plato's account emphasizes the comprehensive nature of the disaster. Both natural topography and human habitation were engulfed. The submersion symbolically represents the drowning of pride and moral failure, turning the city into a cautionary emblem. This depiction of watery destruction connects to the enduring image of Atlantis as a sunken civilization, reinforcing the blend of myth, morality, and environmental catastrophe that makes the story compelling across generations. The grand temples and opulent palaces that once defined Atlantis' skyline were reduced to rubble. Towering structures collapsed under the weight of shifting earth, fire, and flood. Decorative carvings, statues, and precious metals were lost to the elements, erasing centuries of human craftsmanship in a matter of hours. Plato emphasizes that the physical destruction mirrored the spiritual and moral collapse of the civilization. The imagery of ruins and debris serves as a stark reminder of impermanence, illustrating how even monumental achievements cannot withstand neglect, hubris, and the overwhelming forces of nature and fate. Amidst the collapsing city, thousands of Atlanteans perished. Families were separated, citizens struggled against the floodwaters, and chaos reigned as survival became impossible. Plato's description emphasizes human vulnerability and the tragic consequences of moral failure. The people, once thriving and prosperous, became victims of circumstances beyond their control, reinforcing the allegorical lesson: ethical decline and hubris can endanger even the most advanced societies. The narrative transforms the historical sounding account into a timeless cautionary tale, highlighting both the human and divine dimensions of the catastrophe. Plato describes Atlantis as finally sinking beneath the waves, leaving no trace above the sea. The concentric rings, canals, and structures were submerged, forming the image of a lost civilization beneath the ocean. This iconic image has captivated imaginations for centuries, symbolizing the fragility of human achievement and the inevitability of nature's power. The city's disappearance underlines the moral of the tale: pride, hubris, and neglect of virtue lead to downfall. Atlantis becomes both a literal and metaphorical example of a civilization erased, yet immortalized through legend, myth, and human curiosity. Even after Atlantis vanished, traces of the civilization persisted in stories, myths, and moral teachings. Plato's dialogues preserved its memory, transmitting cautionary lessons about ambition, pride, and the consequences of ethical decay. Sailors, philosophers, and later historians speculated on the location and reality of the city, keeping the legend alive through centuries. Atlantis thus transitions from historical-sounding narrative to symbolic mythology, representing both human achievement and vulnerability. The enduring fascination with Atlantis illustrates how memory, imagination, and storytelling preserve lessons from lost civilizations, inspiring curiosity, reflection, and exploration. The legend of Atlantis serves not only as a story of destruction but as an allegory for human behavior and societal responsibility. Plato's account warns that technological advancement and material wealth must be balanced with ethical governance, virtue, and humility. Atlantis symbolizes the duality of human potential and frailty, the capacity for innovation, creativity, and social organization alongside susceptibility to greed, arrogance, and moral decay. This allegorical meaning resonates through history, literature, and philosophy, reminding societies that progress untempered by ethics is vulnerable, and that legends carry enduring lessons beyond their literal narratives. Ultimately, the story of Atlantis transcends history, blending fact, fiction, and philosophical reflection. Plato's narrative encourages reflection on societal structure, morality, and the impermanence of human achievements. Even without physical evidence, Atlantis persists in the collective imagination as a symbol of both possibility and caution. Its tale challenges future generations to learn from past wisdom, to balance ambition with virtue, and to respect the fragile equilibrium between progress, ethics, and the natural world. Thus, Atlantis remains a timeless lesson, a story of human aspiration, and a mystery that continues to captivate hearts and minds. During the Middle Ages, the legend of Atlantis survived primarily through manuscripts, philosophical texts, and the works of ancient scholars. Monks and scholars preserved Plato's dialogues, translating and copying them in monasteries across Europe. Although largely inaccessible to the general public, the myth inspired medieval thinkers and storytellers, influencing allegorical and moral literature. Atlantis became a symbol of lost wisdom and a cautionary tale about the rise and fall of civilizations. In an era defined by religious doctrine and feudal structures, the story provided both intellectual fascination and moral reflection, bridging ancient knowledge with contemporary philosophical discourse. Medieval philosophers interpreted Atlantis as more than a historical place; it became a symbol of moral and spiritual reflection. Debates on hubris, divine justice, and societal collapse were framed through the lens of the lost city. Atlantis illustrated the dangers of human pride and the importance of virtue, fitting seamlessly into theological and philosophical discourses of the time. Scholars used it to explore ethical principles, leadership, and the consequences of corruption. Through these interpretations, the story of Atlantis evolved from a geographic mystery into a tool for intellectual contemplation, shaping European thought and moral education during centuries of religious and social transformation. With the Renaissance came a revival of interest in classical knowledge, including the story of Atlantis. Humanists studied ancient texts with renewed curiosity, translating Plato's works and integrating them into broader philosophical and scientific discourse. Artists and scholars were inspired by the vivid imagery of a lost, advanced civilization, blending imagination with empirical inquiry. The legend fueled exploration of human potential, innovation, and ethical governance. Renaissance thinkers often depicted Atlantis not only as a cautionary tale but also as an example of human ingenuity, inspiring creative expression, scientific investigation, and renewed interest in antiquity. During the Renaissance, Atlantis captured the imagination of painters, sculptors, and writers. Artists visualized monumental architecture, concentric rings, and grand canals, blending historical texts with creative interpretation. Literary works incorporated Atlantis as allegory for virtue, hubris, and societal ideals. This artistic fascination helped cement Atlantis' image in European culture, bridging myth and visual imagination. The interplay of artistic representation and philosophical reflection allowed the legend to evolve, presenting a city both real in concept and symbolic in meaning, a source of inspiration for intellectual and creative pursuits alike. The Age of Discovery saw explorers and cartographers fascinated by the possibility of real locations for Atlantis. Maps began to speculate on unknown lands in the Atlantic, while letters and diaries referenced the lost city. Renaissance curiosity combined with navigational advances fueled speculation about Atlantis' whereabouts. The legend encouraged voyages, blending myth with the spirit of exploration. Philosophers and scientists debated whether Atlantis was literal or allegorical, while its story guided intellectual exploration of geography, culture, and human achievement. Atlantis became both a symbol of the unknown and a beacon for human curiosity and adventure. Renaissance philosophers revisited Atlantis as a subject of moral and political reflection. Discussions centered on governance, ethics, and the rise and fall of civilizations. Scholars debated whether Atlantis' downfall resulted from external forces, human hubris, or a combination of both. The legend offered a framework for contemplating societal stability, the responsibilities of leaders, and the relationship between virtue and power. By framing Atlantis within philosophical discourse, intellectuals connected ancient wisdom with contemporary political thought, exploring timeless questions about human nature, ambition, and the balance between progress and morality. Mapmakers and explorers began placing Atlantis on speculative maps, often in the Atlantic or unknown western seas. These maps merged imagination with navigational knowledge, reflecting the Renaissance fascination with uncharted territories. Atlantis appeared as a symbol of lost knowledge and undiscovered lands, guiding explorers' curiosity and fueling debates about geography and history. Cartographers illustrated concentric rings, grand palaces, and harbors based on Plato's descriptions. Through these depictions, Atlantis transitioned from allegory to a semi-literal, almost tangible concept, blending myth, art, and empirical exploration in a unique synthesis that captured the imagination of Europe. During the Renaissance, artists revisited Atlantis imagery to portray idealized cities and moral lessons. Paintings depicted concentric rings, towering palaces, and canals, merging historical description with imaginative interpretation. Artists emphasized grandeur, symmetry, and technological marvels, reflecting the era's fascination with human potential and classical ideals. The city served as both a creative subject and an allegorical reference, symbolizing the consequences of pride and the heights of achievement. These works preserved Atlantis in collective memory, influencing literature, architecture, and visual arts for generations, and ensuring the myth's continued cultural resonance. Renaissance scholars and early scientists debated the historical reality of Atlantis. Observers analyzed texts for clues, comparing Plato's descriptions to known geography, ocean currents, and civilizations. Some theorists proposed islands in the Atlantic or submerged lands, while others treated Atlantis as purely allegorical. This debate reflected the era's growing emphasis on empirical evidence and rational inquiry, bridging mythology and emerging science. Atlantis became a focal point for exploring the limits of knowledge, human imagination, and the interface between empirical observation and philosophical speculation, highlighting the dynamic tension between myth and reason during the Renaissance. Literary works of the Renaissance began incorporating Atlantis as a symbol of ideal society or moral warning. Poets, playwrights, and novelists explored the consequences of hubris, the pursuit of knowledge, and the fragility of human achievement through Atlantean narratives. Stories depicted grandeur and catastrophe, merging imagination with ethical reflection. Atlantis became a vehicle for philosophical exploration, bridging entertainment, education, and moral discourse. This literary revival reinforced the city's legendary status, ensuring that the tale of Atlantis remained a vibrant and adaptable motif capable of conveying complex human ideas across generations. The fascination with Atlantis inspired explorers to imagine undiscovered lands and civilizations. Voyages across the Atlantic were fueled not only by trade and empire but also by the hope of encountering remnants of lost worlds. Cartography, navigation, and natural philosophy were enriched by speculation about Atlantis' location. The myth served as both a challenge and a guide, encouraging inquiry, courage, and the pursuit of knowledge. Atlantis thus became emblematic of human curiosity, linking the past with exploration, imagination, and the relentless quest to understand the unknown. By the end of the Renaissance, Atlantis had evolved from a cautionary tale to a symbol of human aspiration, creativity, and intellectual curiosity. Its legend shaped art, philosophy, literature, and exploration, bridging the ancient world with new discoveries and scientific inquiry. Atlantis inspired both reflection and innovation, offering a model of societal potential and a warning against arrogance. The city's myth endured, preserved through imagination, scholarly interest, and cultural expression. It stood as a testament to the Renaissance spirit, a synthesis of knowledge, creativity, and the enduring allure of the unknown, ensuring that Atlantis remained a source of fascination for generations to come. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, Atlantis was rediscovered by modern scholars, archaeologists, and enthusiasts. Advances in archaeology, oceanography, and historical research brought new methods to analyze Plato's texts and explore potential locations for the lost city. The legend attracted attention from writers, scientists, and adventurers eager to connect myth with empirical evidence. Atlantis became a subject not only of philosophical reflection but also of scientific inquiry. This modern revival highlighted the enduring fascination with lost civilizations, the intersection of myth and research, and the human desire to reconcile imagination with observable reality. The 20th century saw the rise of pseudo-archaeological theories about Atlantis. Authors speculated on advanced ancient civilizations, lost technologies, and submerged continents. While often lacking empirical support, these theories captivated the public imagination and popular media. Atlantis became a focal point for sensational claims about human history, lost knowledge, and extraterrestrial connections. This blend of myth and speculation reflected society's fascination with mystery, the unknown, and the boundaries of historical understanding, bridging serious scholarship with imaginative storytelling and influencing countless books, documentaries, and popular narratives. As Atlantis entered modern consciousness, literature, films, and media began incorporating the legend. Adventure novels depicted explorers searching for lost treasures, while science fiction speculated on Atlantean technology and extraterrestrial connections. The city became a symbol of mystery, knowledge, and lost potential. Through magazines, books, and later documentaries, Atlantis' image evolved from classical allegory to an iconic feature of popular culture. The legend bridged imagination, entertainment, and historical curiosity, creating a new layer of influence that extended the myth's reach far beyond scholarly circles. Modern archaeology has examined potential sites linked to Atlantis, ranging from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean. Underwater surveys, geological studies, and excavations sought evidence of submerged settlements and ancient civilizations. While no definitive proof has been found, research expanded knowledge of prehistoric cultures, seafaring societies, and environmental changes. Atlantis thus served as both a catalyst and a reference point for scientific exploration, demonstrating how myth can inspire rigorous inquiry and generate hypotheses about ancient human history and the development of early civilizations. Scientists have proposed natural explanations for Atlantis' disappearance, including tectonic shifts, volcanic activity, and rising sea levels. The Azores, Santorini, and other islands have been suggested as potential remnants of the lost civilization. These geophysical analyses provide plausible frameworks for understanding how societies could vanish due to environmental cataclysms. Atlantis thus functions as a case study of human vulnerability to nature, illustrating that myth may encode observations about environmental disasters and societal collapse, blending legend with lessons derived from scientific investigation. Beyond scientific discourse, Atlantis thrived in popular myth and folklore. Magazines, television programs, and fictional works portrayed Atlanteans as advanced beings, often with extraordinary technology or mystical powers. These portrayals emphasized human fascination with lost knowledge and perfection, offering both adventure and caution. Popular myths blurred the line between historical speculation and imaginative storytelling, creating enduring images of Atlantis that captured collective imagination. The city evolved into a cultural touchstone, inspiring generations to explore mysteries, challenge assumptions, and engage with the idea of a civilization lost to time. In the 20th century, Atlantis became a recurring theme in science fiction. Writers imagined the city as the origin of advanced civilizations, alien visitors, or lost technologies far beyond contemporary understanding. Stories explored ethical dilemmas, societal collapse, and the potential of human ingenuity. Atlantis served as a narrative device to question human progress, morality, and the consequences of knowledge. Through novels, comics, and films, the legend bridged imagination with philosophical speculation, inspiring not only entertainment but also reflection on human ambition, responsibility, and the boundaries of discovery. Alternative history theorists proposed connections between Atlantis and various ancient civilizations, from Minoans to Egyptians, and even distant continents. They examined cultural similarities, architectural parallels, and mythical motifs to argue for Atlantis' historical reality. While mainstream archaeology remains skeptical, these theories intrigued the public and fueled debate about humanity's forgotten past. Atlantis became a nexus where myth, speculation, and partial evidence intersected, inspiring curiosity, research, and sometimes controversy. The narrative continued to evolve, bridging imagination with attempts at historical plausibility. Documentaries and television programs popularized Atlantis further, presenting dramatized reconstructions, underwater explorations, and interviews with experts. Visual media transformed the legend into an accessible narrative, combining speculation, scientific insight, and storytelling. Viewers were invited to imagine sunken cities, advanced societies, and the consequences of hubris, blending education with entertainment. These productions reinforced Atlantis' status as a cultural and intellectual phenomenon, allowing audiences worldwide to engage with the myth and ponder the lessons embedded within its story. The myth of Atlantis influenced art, literature, and philosophy throughout the modern era. It appeared in novels, paintings, movies, and video games, representing lost knowledge, utopian societies, and moral reflection. Atlantis' cultural impact extended beyond academia, shaping collective imagination and popular consciousness. The story served as a source of inspiration, prompting creative expression, critical thinking, and exploration of ethical, social, and environmental themes. By remaining relevant across media and generations, Atlantis demonstrated the enduring power of myth to influence culture, inspire inquiry, and reflect human aspirations and fears. In the contemporary era, speculation about Atlantis continues through books, documentaries, and online communities. Theories range from lost continents to advanced ancient technologies or even extraterrestrial involvement. Social media amplifies interest, creating global discussions and debates. While scientific consensus remains cautious, public fascination thrives, illustrating the enduring appeal of mystery and discovery. Atlantis persists as a symbol of human curiosity, bridging imagination with critical thinking, and providing a narrative lens through which to examine our past, our potential, and the boundaries of knowledge and belief. Ultimately, Atlantis in the modern era represents a convergence of myth, science, and imagination. It embodies humanity's fascination with lost knowledge, advanced civilizations, and the unknown. The legend inspires exploration, creativity, and philosophical reflection, challenging us to consider ethical, cultural, and environmental lessons. Despite the lack of definitive evidence, Atlantis continues to captivate minds worldwide, reminding us that myths endure not only because of their stories but because they stimulate inquiry, inspire innovation, and reflect our deepest questions about history, society, and human potential. Scientific interest in Atlantis gained momentum with the development of modern archaeology in the 19th and 20th centuries. Researchers examined ancient texts, geological formations, and underwater sites for evidence of lost civilizations. Although definitive proof of Atlantis has never been found, these investigations enriched understanding of ancient cultures, maritime trade, and environmental change. Archaeology transformed the myth from speculative storytelling into a framework for empirical exploration, demonstrating how legends can inspire systematic research and illuminate aspects of human history previously overlooked. Geologists have explored Atlantis by studying tectonic activity, volcanic eruptions, and sea level changes. Some theorize that sudden cataclysms, such as earthquakes or tsunamis, could have submerged islands mentioned in Plato's accounts. By analyzing sediment layers, submerged landforms, and ocean currents, scientists attempt to connect myth with natural phenomena. These studies reveal how environmental factors can dramatically reshape human settlements and how ancient myths may encode real-world observations of natural disasters, blending legend with scientific explanation. Some scholars propose that Atlantis was inspired by the Minoan civilization of Crete, which flourished between 2600 and 1100 BCE. The sudden destruction of Minoan cities by volcanic eruption on Santorini may have given rise to stories of a lost advanced society. Architectural sophistication, maritime prowess, and societal organization of the Minoans bear intriguing parallels with Plato's descriptions. This hypothesis links tangible historical events with myth, illustrating how human memory, storytelling, and catastrophic events can merge to form enduring legends. Alternative theories suggest Atlantis had connections with ancient Egypt. Plato mentions Egyptian priests recounting the story of a powerful island civilization destroyed by cataclysm. Scholars compare cultural practices, engineering skills, and mythological motifs, seeking parallels that might support historical foundations for Atlantis. While mainstream academia remains cautious, these comparisons highlight humanity's fascination with tracing the roots of ancient wisdom and the desire to uncover possible links between civilizations separated by geography and time. Researchers have explored the possibility that Atlantis corresponds to regions in the Aegean Sea, including Crete and Thera. Geological and archaeological evidence suggests that islands in the area experienced catastrophic earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. These events could have inspired accounts of a sunken civilization with advanced architecture and complex society. By combining historical texts with geological research, scientists attempt to understand how natural disasters influence mythmaking and how Atlantis may preserve echoes of real ancient tragedies. Beyond Crete and Egypt, scholars have examined potential connections between Atlantis and cultures across the Mediterranean, Americas, and beyond. Similarities in myths, architectural techniques, and societal structures raise questions about lost knowledge, cross-cultural exchange, and the universality of certain archetypes. While these theories are often speculative, they reflect humanity's desire to understand ancient civilizations and the origins of enduring stories. Atlantis serves as a lens through which to explore human creativity, historical continuity, and the interplay between myth and reality across cultures. Some alternative theorists suggest Atlantis was a lost continent, such as a hypothetical land in the Atlantic Ocean or even the mythical continent of Mu. These ideas attempt to explain the disappearance of a sophisticated civilization by imagining entire landmasses sinking beneath the sea. While these theories lack scientific evidence, they capture imagination and influence literature, documentaries, and media. They serve as speculative models for understanding ancient narratives, highlighting the tension between myth and empirical research, and demonstrating how legends inspire hypotheses about the unknown regions of our planet. Environmental and climate factors are also explored in relation to Atlantis. Rising sea levels, tectonic shifts, and catastrophic weather may have destroyed settlements described by Plato. By studying past climate patterns and natural disasters, scientists can understand how environmental changes impact civilizations. Atlantis provides a lens to investigate how human societies are vulnerable to natural events and how legends may encode real environmental phenomena. These studies highlight the connection between myth, ecology, and human history, revealing potential truths behind enduring stories. Underwater archaeology has attempted to uncover traces of Atlantis through submarine exploration. Advanced diving technologies, sonar mapping, and remote sensing allow researchers to investigate submerged landscapes. While no definitive evidence confirms Atlantis, such investigations enhance understanding of maritime trade, sunken settlements, and geological transformations. The work illustrates how myths can drive scientific inquiry, motivating exploration and technological innovation while maintaining a connection between imagination and empirical research. Even without concrete evidence, Atlantis continues to inspire global culture. Authors, filmmakers, and game designers reinterpret the myth in novels, films, and interactive media. The story encourages creativity, moral reflection, and fascination with the unknown. Atlantis serves as a canvas for exploring human ambition, ethics, and the potential consequences of technological or societal advancement. Its influence on contemporary storytelling exemplifies how myths transcend time, providing lessons, inspiration, and opportunities for imaginative exploration across generations. Critics argue that many Atlantis theories are speculative and lack empirical support. Skeptics emphasize Plato's narrative as allegorical rather than historical, warning against conflating myth with fact. However, these critiques have not diminished public interest. Instead, they highlight the delicate balance between imagination and evidence, encouraging critical thinking while preserving the allure of the unknown. Atlantis thus functions as a mirror for human curiosity, challenging us to discern between legend and reality while appreciating the cultural and intellectual significance of the story. Ultimately, archaeological investigations and alternative theories enrich the narrative of Atlantis without providing definitive answers. The pursuit itself exemplifies human curiosity, the desire to understand the past, and the power of myth to inspire exploration and creativity. Atlantis continues to serve as a bridge between imagination and evidence, myth and reality, challenging researchers, artists, and thinkers to explore possibilities beyond what is known. Its legacy endures, reminding humanity that some mysteries are valuable not only for their solutions but for the journey they inspire. Atlantis has inspired countless works of literature, from classic novels to modern fiction. Authors use the city as a backdrop for adventure, exploration, and philosophical reflection. Stories often depict Atlanteans as advanced beings, their technology and knowledge far surpassing contemporary societies. These literary works expand the myth beyond historical speculation, offering moral lessons, ethical dilemmas, and imaginative exploration. Through literature, Atlantis becomes more than a story, it becomes a symbol of human ambition, the pursuit of knowledge, and the consequences of hubris. Films and documentaries have brought Atlantis to life visually, depicting sunken cities, advanced societies, and heroic explorers. Cinematic portrayals blend imagination, history, and mythology to captivate audiences. Visual storytelling emphasizes adventure, mystery, and the allure of the unknown. Through motion pictures, Atlantis reaches global audiences, reinforcing its status as a symbol of lost knowledge and human curiosity. Filmmakers creatively interpret the myth, combining narrative drama, special effects, and visual spectacle to inspire wonder and reflection. Television programs, including documentaries and fictional series, have expanded the reach of Atlantis. Programs dramatize historical speculation, scientific inquiry, and mythological storytelling. Viewers are presented with reconstructions, expert interviews, and underwater exploration. Television transforms Atlantis into a shared cultural experience, engaging audiences with both education and entertainment. These portrayals reinforce fascination with lost civilizations and demonstrate how media can shape public perception and imagination. Video games have introduced Atlantis to interactive storytelling, allowing players to explore lost cities, solve mysteries, and interact with Atlantean technology. Games combine adventure, strategy, and imagination, immersing participants in mythological worlds. Through interactivity, Atlantis becomes a living narrative, empowering audiences to shape their own experiences while learning about culture, history, and creativity. The gaming medium demonstrates the enduring appeal of Atlantis and its adaptability across evolving forms of entertainment and storytelling. Artists have depicted Atlantis across mediums such as painting, sculpture, and digital art. These works capture the imagination of lost civilizations, advanced technology, and sunken cities. Artistic interpretations reflect both personal creativity and cultural fascination, bridging myth and visual expression. By visualizing Atlantis, artists invite viewers to engage with ideas about human ambition, the consequences of hubris, and the allure of mystery. Art sustains the legend, reinforcing its symbolic and inspirational role across generations. Over time, Atlantis has become a symbol of mystery, lost knowledge, and human curiosity. It permeates literature, film, television, gaming, and art, influencing how societies imagine the past and reflect on moral and ethical questions. Its portrayal evolves with cultural trends, technological innovations, and creative reinterpretations. Atlantis exemplifies how myth endures through storytelling, adapting to each generation while preserving its allure and lessons. It remains a cultural touchstone, inspiring exploration, imagination, and reflection on human potential. Animated series and cartoons have introduced Atlantis to younger audiences, blending adventure with morality tales. These depictions often simplify complex myths, emphasizing heroism, teamwork, and exploration. Through animation, the myth becomes accessible and engaging, allowing children to imagine sunken cities, advanced technology, and mystical creatures. The medium highlights storytelling flexibility, showing how Atlantis can be adapted to suit age-appropriate narratives while maintaining fascination and cultural resonance. Music, theater, and performance arts have also drawn inspiration from Atlantis. Composers create symphonies evoking sunken cities and oceanic mysteries, while stage productions dramatize Atlantean legends. These expressions transform myth into emotional and sensory experiences, allowing audiences to engage with the story through sound, movement, and visual spectacle. Artistic interpretations highlight humanity's creative responses to myth, demonstrating how Atlantis resonates beyond narrative, inspiring artistic innovation across diverse mediums. Museums and educational programs utilize Atlantis to engage audiences with history, mythology, and archaeology. Exhibits feature interactive displays, 3D reconstructions, and artifacts inspired by myth. Students and visitors explore speculative reconstructions, fostering curiosity about ancient civilizations, geography, and environmental change. Atlantis serves as a pedagogical tool, demonstrating how myths can facilitate learning, spark critical thinking, and connect imagination with scientific inquiry. Through these experiences, the legend continues to educate while captivating the public imagination. Atlantis has influenced tourism, with resorts, themed attractions, and exhibitions capitalizing on the myth. Visitors are drawn to experiences that evoke underwater cities, mystical architecture, and adventure narratives. Such attractions blend entertainment, education, and imagination, demonstrating how cultural myths can create economic and experiential impact. Atlantis-themed tourism reflects society's fascination with lost worlds, allowing people to engage physically with legendary narratives while celebrating creativity, history, and mythology. Across the globe, Atlantis has permeated popular culture, appearing in novels, films, games, music, and visual arts. Its symbolism of lost knowledge, advanced civilization, and moral reflection transcends borders and generations. Cultural adaptations vary by region, but the core fascination remains: a civilization lost to time, offering lessons about human ambition, resilience, and curiosity. Atlantis serves as a universal myth, illustrating the power of storytelling to connect people, inspire creativity, and provide a shared cultural touchstone. In conclusion, Atlantis' presence in popular culture reinforces its enduring legacy. Through literature, cinema, games, art, education, and tourism, the myth continues to captivate audiences, stimulate imagination, and provoke reflection on human history and potential. The legend thrives not only because of its narrative but because it engages minds across disciplines, inspiring creativity, inquiry, and cultural expression. Atlantis exemplifies how myths endure, adapt, and influence society, bridging imagination with experience and knowledge. Atlantis exists at the intersection of myth and history. Scholars, archaeologists, and enthusiasts debate whether it was a real civilization, a moral allegory, or a synthesis of both. Despite centuries of research and speculation, no definitive evidence confirms its existence. Yet the legend persists, influencing literature, art, film, and popular imagination. This tension between reality and storytelling reminds us that myths serve a dual purpose: preserving human memory while inspiring curiosity, creativity, and philosophical reflection across generations. Human curiosity drives the enduring fascination with Atlantis. The story challenges explorers, historians, and storytellers to investigate, imagine, and hypothesize. It exemplifies our desire to uncover hidden truths, understand ancient civilizations, and reconcile legend with scientific inquiry. Whether through books, films, or academic research, Atlantis continues to captivate minds, highlighting the interplay between curiosity, creativity, and the quest for knowledge. Its allure demonstrates the power of a compelling mystery to transcend time and culture. Atlantis offers a lens to examine human history and cultural evolution. Myths such as Atlantis reflect societal values, cautionary tales, and aspirations for knowledge and progress. They offer insight into how ancient societies interpreted natural disasters, technological advancement, and ethical dilemmas. By studying Atlantis, we gain perspective on how humanity constructs narratives to understand the world, navigate moral questions, and preserve lessons from the past. The legend bridges imagination with historical reflection, creating a timeless dialogue between past and present. Plato originally framed Atlantis as a philosophical allegory, warning against hubris, moral corruption, and societal decay. This ethical dimension resonates across time, encouraging reflection on leadership, governance, and human behavior. Modern interpretations continue to explore these lessons, applying them to contemporary social, political, and environmental contexts. Atlantis, therefore, is not just a story of a lost city, but a narrative with enduring philosophical significance, challenging each generation to contemplate the consequences of ambition and the responsibilities of civilization. Despite being a legend, Atlantis inspires scientific inquiry. Researchers explore geology, archaeology, oceanography, and history in search of understanding. The myth motivates interdisciplinary study, encouraging curiosity and innovation. Even if Atlantis is never discovered, the pursuit itself enhances knowledge about ancient civilizations, environmental change, and human creativity. The legend exemplifies how myths can catalyze real-world exploration, bridging imagination with systematic inquiry and illustrating the transformative power of stories. The story of Atlantis fuels human imagination, providing a playground for creativity and storytelling. Writers, artists, and creators envision cities beneath the waves, advanced technology, and mysterious civilizations. This imaginative power encourages innovative thinking, speculative design, and artistic exploration. Atlantis demonstrates how a myth can evolve beyond its origins to inspire generations of creators, illustrating the enduring capacity of human imagination to interpret, reimagine, and give life to legendary narratives. Atlantis has become part of global cultural heritage, inspiring stories, art, and inquiry worldwide. Its influence is seen in academic studies, museums, exhibitions, and media. The legend provides a shared reference point, connecting people across cultures and generations through fascination with mystery and lost knowledge. As a cultural touchstone, Atlantis demonstrates how myths preserve human memory, encourage reflection on history, and inspire creative expression, ensuring that its legacy continues to shape societies and imagination. Atlantis symbolizes the spirit of exploration, urging humans to seek the unknown. The myth embodies curiosity, ambition, and the desire to understand our world. Explorers, scientists, and storytellers draw inspiration from this lost civilization, striving to uncover truths about history, nature, and humanity. Atlantis, whether real or allegorical, continues to serve as a beacon for those who pursue knowledge, adventure, and creativity, illustrating the enduring power of myths to inspire discovery and intellectual growth. Atlantis continues to inspire future generations, encouraging imagination, inquiry, and ethical reflection. Its story teaches lessons about human ambition, societal responsibility, and the consequences of hubris. Young minds engage with the myth through education, media, and creative endeavors, ensuring the legend remains relevant. As a timeless narrative, Atlantis bridges past, present, and future, reminding humanity that some mysteries endure, not merely for answers, but for the inspiration they provide to learn, explore, and create. Ultimately, Atlantis embodies humanity's eternal curiosity. It reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, the fascination with the unknown, and the power of imagination are timeless qualities. The legend encourages questioning, exploration, and creative thinking, bridging the realms of myth, history, and science. Atlantis persists as a symbol of what humans can achieve when driven by wonder and inquiry, a story whose influence transcends centuries, cultures, and disciplines. The lessons of Atlantis transcend myth, offering reflections on human behavior, societal structures, and environmental responsibility. Whether interpreted as a cautionary tale or historical possibility, the story urges contemplation of ambition, ethics, and sustainability. It challenges civilizations to consider the consequences of hubris and the importance of stewardship over society and nature. Atlantis thus remains relevant, teaching enduring lessons that resonate with humanity's quest for wisdom, resilience, and ethical progress. Over millennia, the story of Atlantis has evolved, adapting to cultural, technological, and intellectual shifts. Each era reinterprets the legend, reflecting contemporary concerns, values, and aspirations. From Plato's allegory to modern media, the myth demonstrates adaptability and resilience, proving that compelling stories endure. The evolution of Atlantis illustrates the dynamic relationship between narrative and society, showing how a single legend can inspire innovation, reflection, and creativity across generations. The future of Atlantis lies in imagination, research, and cultural reinterpretation. Emerging technologies, virtual reality, and educational platforms allow new generations to explore and visualize the myth. Each new interpretation contributes to its legacy, ensuring that Atlantis continues to inspire curiosity, creativity, and intellectual exploration. The story's endurance demonstrates that myths are living narratives, shaped by human engagement, reflecting values, and offering opportunities for discovery in every era. In the end, Atlantis remains an eternal mystery, captivating the imagination of humanity. Its story transcends time, blending myth, history, philosophy, and art. Atlantis challenges us to explore, question, and dream, serving as a symbol of both human ambition and humility. Though its true existence may never be confirmed, the legend endures, reminding us that some mysteries are valuable not for the answers they provide, but for the inspiration, curiosity, and creativity they ignite. Atlantis, lost beneath the waves or preserved in imagination, continues to haunt, teach, and inspire. Thank you so much for watching our journey into the mystery of Atlantis. We hope you enjoyed exploring this legendary tale with us. Don't forget to follow our channel and subscribe, so you won't miss our next deep dive into history's greatest mysteries. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep uncovering fascinating stories like this one.